sides of a story.
We always need to hear both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Both sides of a story.
Yes, both sides of the story. Both sides of the story. Both sides of the story.
Both sides of a story.
Both sides of the story.
Knowledge is power. Class is in session, hour 106.
Take heed of this small child of earth. He is great. He hath in him God most high. Children, before their fleshly birth, are lights alive in the blue sky. In our light, bitter world of wrong they come. God gives us them a while. His speech is in their stammering tongue, and his forgiveness in their smile. Their sweet light rests upon our eyes. Alas, their right to joy is plain. If they are hungry, paradise weeps. And if cold, heaven thrills with pain. The want that saps their sinless flower speaks judgment on sin's ministers. Man holds an angel in his power. Ah, deep in heaven, what thunder stirs when God seeks out these tender things, whom in the shadow where we sleep, he sends us clothed about with wings, and finds them ragged babes that weep.
Dear Mr. Jesus, I just had to write to you. Something really scared me when I saw it on the news. A story about a little girl beaten black and blue. Jesus, thought I'd take this right to you. Dear Mr. Jesus, I don't understand why they took her mom and dad away. I know that they don't mean to hit with wild and angry hands. Tell them just how big they are, I pray. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Want to keep us safe and warm. Dear Mr. Jesus, they say that you may die. I will help the doctors stop the pain. I know that you could save her and take her up to the sky, for she will never have to hurt again. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't tell my daddy, but my mommy hits me too. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Don't you keep us safe. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm?
Dear Mr. Jesus by Power Source, featuring Sharon Batts. And before that, the poetry of Victor Hugo, The Poor Children. It's the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the Decade of Action for Road Safety, and 2022 marks the start of the UN International Decade of Indigenous Languages. It's the 14th day of the first month of 2022, the International Year of Sustainable Mountain Development, the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development, the International Year of Glass, and the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. Americans are marking January as Human Trafficking Awareness Month and Mentorship Month. Here in Jamaica, the month of January is being observed as Soup Month and Earthquake Awareness Month. In fact, this week is Earthquake Awareness Week, and we could essentially say today is Earthquake Awareness Day, as today marks the 115th anniversary of the 1907 earthquake in Kingston, Jamaica. It's Ratification Day in the USA and Pongal Makar Sankranti in Hinduism. It's Orthodox New Year. Hoy es viernes el 14 de enero 2022 y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos.
Dear Mr. Jesus, please tell me what to do. And please don't tell my daddy, but my mommy hits me too. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Don't you keep us safe. Please don't let them hurt your children.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15. The following is a public service announcement from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
The Ministry of Labor and Social Security is advising the public that limited services will be offered at the newly relocated office at 4 Sandshop Square, Montego Bay, from Wednesday, September 1 through to Friday, September 3. The ministry appreciates your kind understanding and expects full service to be restored on Monday, September 6. The ministry apologizes for the inconvenience this may cause. That was a public service announcement from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Let's Christmas together with One Spot Media as we take you home for the holidays. Enjoy a 30% discount on our 6-month subscription plan and receive a gift of Jamaica's most authentic television and radio channels. You heard correctly. Enjoy a 30% discount when you purchase a 6-month subscription plan from One Spot Media. And let's Christmas together no matter where you are. Simply log in to onespotmedia.com, select the 6-month subscription plan, and click subscribe. Offer ends January 14th, so don't hesitate. Subscribe now and let One Spot Media connect to you this Christmas.
Dear Mr. Jesus, I don't understand why they took her mom and dad away. I know that they don't mean to hit with wild and angry hands. Tell them just how big they are, I pray. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm?
C'est vendredi le 14 janvier 2022 et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutez où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être à votre service par une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue.
Tell me what to do, and please don't tell my daddy that my mommy hates me too. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and
Please don't let them hurt your children.
they need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm?
All we're saying is it's Friday, the 14th of January, 2022, and we greet you well wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices, and that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome.
Jesus, I don't understand why they took her mom and dad away. I know that they don't mean to hit with wild and angry hands. Tell them just how big they are, I pray. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm?
Good afternoon to those of you listening to us on 106.1, 106.3, 106.5, 106.7, and 106.9. From Moran Point to Negril Point, from the Goat Islands to Galena Point, this is Power 106 FM, serving Jamaica and the diaspora. Hello to those tuned in via the Power 106 FM, which you can download from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on the nature of your device. Downloading is free, listening is free, whenever, wherever. We acknowledge those who have dialed a designated number to listen to Power 106 FM from the USA and the UK. Those in the United Kingdom who'd like to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM can call 631 359 8281. 631 359 8281. And if you're in the United Kingdom and you wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM, your number is 0330 606 0953. 0330 606 0953. We're streaming live video on the Dervan Malcolm Facebook page and affiliated pages. If you're not there yet, log on to Facebook. In the search box atop the page, type DERVAN MALCOLM, and you too will be able to not just hear, but see what's happening in the studios of Power 106 FM. If you don't have a Facebook account, no sweat, there's always YouTube. All you need is a smartphone or a not-so-smartphone, a tablet computer, a laptop, a desktop, otherwise known as a PC, personal computer. Whatever device you have at your disposal, your next step would be internet connection. And after that, it will be all about opening a browser, whether Google Chrome, Safari, Bing, any one of those, and start typing the word YouTube. The YouTube website should come up. If you're doing that now, you should see this video trending. If you're not seeing it, then in the YouTube search box, type DERVAN MALCOLM. What's on your mind this afternoon? The lines are open to you. 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. The text line is the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, but also your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, and indeed you can call us via WhatsApp. The struggle continues as far as containing crime and violence in Jamaica is concerned. The online gleaner reads Murder Mania. Jamaica's National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, and Police Commissioner Anthony Anderson are under mounting pressure to curb a tidal wave of murder that has swept the country, with an average of 5 homicides committed every day in 2022. And as sad and depressing and distressing and terrible as that is, and the loss of any life is to be regretted, our condolences, sadly, this has been the average for a very long time. I remember it clearly. 5 homicides every day. In fact, there was a time when, what was it, every 6 hours, let me see if I can remember this, every 6 hours, approximately, either every 4 or every 6 hours, someone was murdered in Jamaica. So as this is terrible, but it was worse than this. At one stage, as we said, they used to calculate it by the hour. Now they're telling us it's 5 homicides committed every day. And the Gleaner goes on to say the country was jolted by the brutal murder of 9-year-old Gabriel King yesterday, and 11 homicides in a 24-hour period ending Wednesday. Gabriel was among 5 people murdered across western Jamaica between Wednesday and Thursday, with 4 double murders, 3 of them in the corporate area of Kingston and St. Andrew, committed across the country in 36 hours. One man was also fatally shot by the police in Shrewsbury District, Westmoreland, and a woman and her daughter shot and injured in the same area yesterday afternoon. They've been identified as 28-year-old Chevon Robinson, otherwise called Beams, of Bottom, Melbourne in Salt Spring, 58-year-old Bernie Lewis, a farmer, and 45-year-old Sophia Brown, both of King's District in Long Hill, White House. 9-year-old Gabriel was reportedly being driven by his mother in an Audi motor car sometime after 11 a.m. towards downtown Montego Bay when she slowed down to negotiate a pothole on the road, and 2 men allegedly rushed towards her, dragged her from the vehicle, and sped away with the child still aboard. The police discovered the abandoned car off the roadway in Fairfield. Gabriel was found on the rear seat with his throat slashed. The level of depravity that we continue to sink to. Unbelievable. Where are the peacemakers? Blessed are the peacemakers. Where are the peacemakers? Where are the pacifiers? Every family, every community, every organization has at least one person who is able to prevail on everyone else, to be able to say, yo, no bother with that. Or, no, my youth, what you do? No, man, don't do that. Let go the youth, man. We used to have people like those in this country, so that even when others of us were losing it, there was always somebody who could pull us back from the brink. Apparently, we have quite a number of vacancies in that regard. Where are the peacemakers? Or have we become a country of war boats? Learned that expression from my mother years ago, war boat. And some of us thrive on this kind of thing. And then you have others who are engaging in all kinds of indifferent actions as if they're not a part of this country too. Let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30.
The Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority, JACRA,
is now being onboarded to the Jamaica Single Window for Trade J-Swift. Effective January 10, 2022, J-Swift will be facilitating online applications for all JACRA import permit releases. Traders and their agents will now be able to make online payments for JACRA cess. Benefits will include faster processing times and increased convenience, facilitating trade and doing business. No more walk-ins or waiting in lines. The JACRA Import Permit Release Service, effective January 10, 2022 on J-Swift.
And we have heard the announcement by the finance minister throwing another $1 billion at the problem, the twin evils of crime and violence. Another 1 billion to add to the 40 billion before that or more? And we're still here. It tells us something, doesn't it? It's loaded. It's loaded. The Gleaner tells us the government is under pressure to respond with other measures after murders soared by 10% in 2021. Prior to the 9-year-old's murder, Robinson was at home in Bottom, Melbourne, when a group of men pretending to be police officers went to his house and ordered him to open the door. When their demands were not met, the men kicked in the door and shot Robinson and another man. And this business of kicking in people's doors, it's another reminder of how fragile the living quarters are for some of us. Fragile living quarters. One kick and the door flies open, as opposed to perhaps living in a different community, in a sturdier abode, which perhaps would result in whoever tries to kick down that door ending up with a broken leg or ending up getting shot, because then the grill would be energized or some other technology like that in place. It tells us something as well. We have people, they do have shelter, but the shelter makes them open to the elements, in particular, the human element. That one in particular. So there is that too. When their demands were not met, the men kicked in the door and shot Robinson and another man. Robinson was pronounced dead at hospital. The spike in murders has taken St. James's murder toll to 13 in 13 days, including the killing of a man in the vicinity of the Mount Salem police station. Gunmen also continued to wreak havoc in Westmoreland, killing the businesswoman and the farmer in King's District, White House. Reports by the White House police are that about 2 p.m., Lewis was assisting Brown at a supermarket she operates in Kings when 2 men posing as customers walked in and shot them several times. Brown and Lewis were pronounced dead at Black River. Gunmen struck again yesterday afternoon in Shrewsbury District, shooting and injuring a female and her daughter. Reports are that both were at home when they were ambushed by what a bunch of cowards these are. It's bad enough and sad enough and terrible enough when we attack our fellow men, literally. It's another thing when in an act of cowardice, we shoot and injure 2 females. These cowards with guns, without the guns, they are nothing, zero, zilch, and have absolutely nothing positive to contribute to this country. How did they get to that stage? What happened to the bouncing baby boy? We've been asking that question for years. That bouncing baby boy who brings so much joy to its parents and its relatives. How did that bouncing baby boy with the chubby cheeks become a vicious murderer? And the problem is they're multiplying. We're having too many of those, and we have been in this crisis for a very long time. This has long been an emergency for a very long time, but we haven't in a sustained way sought to deal with this state of emergency. I'm not talking the act of imposing a state of emergency. I'm talking about the state of Jamaica with respect to national security. We have been in a state of emergency for a very long time. But we haven't been able to in a sustained way, deal with this state of emergency. And so we are in a permanent state of emergency. Which makes it so much harder to manage. It's like the dike, the leak in the dike. And then another leak opens there, and another, and another, and another. And then, of course, there are those who have been capitalizing on the chaos. So all those who have scores to settle, all those who, according to them on the street, all those who want to hot up the place, because there are people in this country who do nothing but seek to hot up the place because they are bored. And they have these guns, which are quite plentiful in Jamaica these days. And they are always ready to use them. They don't like the fact to be, which is why they waste so much ammunition in any given day. They fire multiple shots, whether in the air or in the direction of people or buildings or other places. And because they are getting a constant supply of ammunition and armory and weaponry. It means that some people in this country are benefiting from this state of affairs big time. There are people who are benefiting from this state of affairs in a very significant way. And for as long as people are benefiting, it will continue. But it can stop. It can stop this minute. It can stop tomorrow morning. But if there is no unity among the people, and if there is no sense of obligation to country, this blessed land of ours, Jamaica land we love, in the absence of that kind of patriotism or patriotism, then we all continue, as the song says, slip sliding away. Slip sliding away. And you can tell, as the saying goes, you can tell a lot about a society by way of how they treat their children. God help our children. God bless our children. Our poor children. Our poor children. You can tell a lot about a society by virtue of how they treat their children, how they treat their women, how they treat their seniors, their elders, their senior citizens, how they treat the very dead, how they treat the animals. These are signs to determine what kind of country we're seeing or experiencing. Having said all of that, and as tragic as all of this has been and continues to be, we cannot afford to allow the selfishness of the few to hold the majority of decent, law-abiding citizens in this country hostage. We must never allow that. When you mix a glass of lemonade, the dregs stay at the bottom of that glass. It is the cream that rises to the top. Unfortunately, in too many cases, we have it upside down in Jamaica, where the dregs rise to the top. And the cream, well, there's no place for the cream in that cup, because the dregs have populated the cup. Has to be the other way around. The cream should rise to the top. The dregs stay at the bottom. Good afternoon to Norman Hines from St. Thomas. Deborah Goring Brown says, "OM goodness. I felt my throat tighten up as you read that, Dervan. OM goodness," says Deborah Goring Brown in Toronto, Canada. Angela, also in Toronto, Canada, says, "Good afternoon, all. Sad news at JCA, that's the Jamaican Canadian Association, with a sudden passing of one of its members, volunteers, earlier today. R.I.P. Gibbo," says Angela in Toronto, Canada. Annette Apple Williams says, "As long as there is governmental corruption, crime will not stop. And it's surprising that people who know this continue to ignore the white elephant." I'll tell you what the white elephant is, Annette Apple Williams. Yes, for decades, we have been and we continue to grapple with corruption in government. For decades. We grapple with, when we talk about corruption in this country, we point to the politicians, the police, the pastors, and the prisoners. But can I humbly suggest that we have a tendency to omit another significant P, and that is public, the so-called general public, the population, the wider population, the rest of us, essentially, outside of the politicians, the police, the pastors, the prisoners. There's that P that under which the others of us fall. And a lot of us who fall in that category are even more corrupt than the politicians, the pastors, the police, and the prisoners combined. Because a lot of us have been supporting the acts of crime and criminality in this country. That's why it can't end. That's why it has been so difficult. One moment, please.
You're You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45.
The Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority, JACRA, is now being onboarded to the Jamaica Single Window for Trade, J-SWIFT. Effective January 10, 2022, J-SWIFT will be facilitating online applications for all JACRA import permit releases. Traders and their agents will now be able to make online payments for JACRA cess. Benefits will include faster processing times and increased convenience, facilitating trade and doing business. No more walk-ins or waiting in lines. The JACRA Import Permit Release Service, effective January 10, 2022 on J-SWIFT.
Jesus, oh Jesus, oh how I love to call your name.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for the longest running religious call-in program on Jamaican radio, The Prayer Line. Join Pastor Errol Hay and his team as they offer spiritual guidance and intercession grounded in biblical doctrine. Hear powerful testimonies from Jamaica and around the world. The Prayer Line, a source of support and inspiration in these trying times. That's The Prayer Line on Power 106 FM, Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Join us.
You shall live, declare the works of the Lord. Amen. You shall be a living testimony here on the Lord's side.
Keep us safe and
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. The text line, the same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can also call us directly on that text line, which doubles as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. The regular call-in lines, 876-922-4112-5. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dervan.
Good afternoon.
How are you this afternoon?
I'm still giving thanks for life. And you?
Very well. Thank you. Good afternoon to your many listeners here and overseas. I would like to discuss with you a few issues of national importance this afternoon. Before I do that, let me state here unequivocally that I listened carefully to your opening comments and I am endorsing them fully and thoroughly. Also, I would like to take this privileged opportunity as well to commend and wish all the best wishes for the new year 2022 to Miss Gloria Brown of Land Solutions and her team for the very informative, incisive, and enlightening segment that is presented on this program each Monday. I myself have learned tremendously from the program, and I'm wishing her all the best for 2022.
Agreed. Same here. We join you in conveying those sentiments to Attorney at Law Gloria Brown and her colleague, Calicia Findley of the law firm Brown, Findley and Company.
Quite so, Dervan. Last week you spoke with a former distinguished four-term councillor from Westmoreland on the program relating to the sugar industry in the parish and other issues concerning the Westmoreland Municipal Council. I found the discussion to be very incisive, and I would like to thank the former councillor for his long-standing contribution to local government within the parish of Westmoreland, spanning many years. I applaud him as well for being an active environmentalist and newspaper contributor, and do look forward to his continued calls to this program. He is a political student of the late Michael Manley. A few days ago, I spoke with you about the recent recommendation from the Honorable Chief Justice Brian Sachs that jury trials, from his perspective, should be abolished in Jamaica. I listened 2 days ago to a discussion on a talk show which had the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn QC. She enunciated that the prosecution, in some cases, do in fact have preference for a jury trial, and contemporaneously that she was not in favor of abolishing jury trials in Jamaica. Within the framework of the COVID-19 pandemic, she was recommending to defense counsels, of which I concur with her on, that they should have audience with their clients based on the huge backlog of cases within the court system presently, and should seek to ask them whether or not they would want to proceed with a single judge trial or a jury trial. I think the jury trial has been postponed for another 3 weeks based on what I have read. But importantly and instructively, Dervan, the erudite president of the Jamaica Bar Association, Alexander Williams Esquire, stated scholarly that he was not in any support of the Chief Justice suggestion at all. And like Mr. Alexander, the COVID-19 pandemic, Dervan, cannot and must not be used as an excuse to abolish jury trials in Jamaica. The Jamaican judges are of the highest integrity and character. However, they are somewhat isolated from the general public and society and could come with some biases towards some cases that comes before them.
But hold on now. First of all, we all have biases.
Yes.
But if we are true professionals, we would then suppress our biases and apply in a dispassionate way the rudiments of wisdom that would inure to an outcome which would reflect fair-mindedness, among other things. But we all have our biases. But surely, when we occupy certain positions, we're expected to dispassionately examine the particular issue or case that is brought before us and act accordingly. And we would like to think that we have more than our fair share of competent jurists to so comport themselves.
Yes, you're correct. But I wanted to further state as well that at other times, some judges do not understand certain conditions, issues, and context of certain crimes which happen in some of these communities. And this could...
No, but this is why we have evidence, we have witnesses, and we have other elements that go into helping. And the judges themselves,
Yes.
they more than anyone else would know, or any other group of people, that you have to inform yourself on every single matter, especially in relation to any case that you're dealing with. They're not perfect beings by any means. And this is why we have checks and balances in the system. This is why you can appeal. And there are provisions within the law to deal with any shortcomings on the part of any member of the judiciary.
When you have jury trials of 12 persons sitting on a case, and it requires a majority of 7 persons to convict or acquit an accused person, it would seem to me that those persons who sit as jurors are able to have a better understanding when they hear evidence emanating from cases. And based on the fact that they are themselves closely connected to these communities, I think they would better understand some of these cases and would be able to come to a more informed position.
Well, that is always the hope. But remember,
yes.
people come from different positions. And we're not talking physical places now, but certain positions in terms of how they view particular issues in relation to particular people in particular places, certain circumstances, how they feel about certain acts. For example, in some communities, when carnal abuse is ferreted out and the investigative work is done and so on, and it comes out in the wash, you will hear people say, sadly, you will hear people say, no, just a little sex in the case of rape, for example, not just a little sex. And that mentality is sometimes carried over in the courtroom. So in a way that seeks to take away from the seriousness of the crime.
Yes.
So you also have that element. I mean, none of us can truly say we are the repository of all knowledge and all information, and we know about this society from top to bottom and so on and so forth, east to west, north and south. No, we all know something, but we don't know everything, and that is why there is strength in numbers. You try and get a dynamic group of people who will reflect the environment in which we operate, and hopefully will apply some wisdom to the particular case and arrive at a judicious position.
Yes. Well, most of the defense counsels that I have heard commenting on the Chief Justice comments, they are totally opposed to the abolishing of jury trials. And according to them, their clients prefer in the main a trial by jury.
One moment, please.
Yes.
When I saw it on the news, a story about a girl.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3 o'clock.
Hello, Jamaica. I am Death. I sincerely appreciate your amazing effort ushering persons to the afterlife. Motorists, please continue overtaking on unbroken lines, running red lights, and speeding through school zones. You've exceeded my expectations and my quota. Ward off death. Obey the road code. A message from the Road Safety Unit.
Jesus, Jesus, oh Jesus, Jesus, oh how I love to call your name.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for the longest running religious calling program on Jamaican radio, The Prayer Line. Join Pastor Errol Hay and his team as they offer spiritual guidance and intercession grounded in biblical doctrine. Hear powerful testimonies from Jamaica and around the world. The Prayer Line, a source of support and inspiration in these trying times. That's The Prayer Line on Power 106 FM, Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Join us.
You shall live, declare the words of the Lord. Amen. You shall be a living testimony. You're on the Lord's side.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5, 876-922-4112-5. Thanks for holding.
Thank you.
So you are saying that that there's a preference for jury trials on the part of the accused?
Yes, especially cases having to do with murder, rape, and manslaughter. A jury trial is preferred.
Why?
It is preferred by the defense counsel and by those persons who have been accused of those crimes because they believe that they will get a fair trial by jury.
And what would make that so? Why wouldn't they get a fair trial in front of a single judge?
Well,
and I'm sure you're going to go back to the point that you made earlier on to say that perhaps because the judge the judge is not on the ground in the community, etc. But the judges do visit the communities from time to time during trials to see the place for themselves, to be able to draw their own conclusions as opposed to just looking at pictures or going based on hearsay.
That may be so, but the fact of the matter is I draw your reference to figures coming from the court management office, which states that last year, or I think they referred to a period. I am not sure if they were referring to 1 year or not, but they made the point that jury trials had much more conviction than trials which were adjudicated on by a single judge.
That sounds like sheer coincidence, though. There's no scientific dissection of the information.
No, yes,
it's just sheer numbers.
Yes, you're absolutely spot on with that. What I fully support at this time, though, Dervan, is trial by a single judge in lottery scamming, cyber crimes, and human trafficking and drug-related cases.
I see. So you're not totally disagreeable to having a judge-only trials.
No,
but you would rather that happen in only certain cases. Yes, well, that's a fair position. That's a reasonable position.
Yes, I'm hoping, Dervan, that the Advocates Association of Jamaica will also oppose this suggestion. I say this though with the highest of respect for the Chief Justice. I heard the Commissioner of Police recently again stating the importance for the Dangerous Drugs Act to be amended so that any person or persons found with any drugs, despite the quantity, should face a mandatory imprisonment term and also a mandatory fine. I think that is very important for the law to be amended. And also, any person found with an illegal firearm should receive a minimum prison term of 10 years, while anyone found with 5 or more illegal firearms on conviction should face a much longer term imprisonment. These acts, the Firearms Act and the Dangerous Drugs Act needs to be amended.
And how do you see imprisonment? Is that imprisonment as just punishment, or imprisonment with a view to some form of rehabilitation?
Well, obviously, it would be meaningless if the person was imprisoned and no form of reform took place. So I'm totally in support of a well-structured and funded rehabilitation program in the prison. It's not up to the level that I would want to see at. I heard recently the president of the private sector organization of Jamaica, Mr. Keith Duncan, a very hardworking president, and he has always enunciated some very well thought out policy proposals to the government. But I was very disappointed when I heard him a few days ago, Dervan, stating that it was his view. He did not say whether it was the PSOJ's cumulative view, but he stated that it was his view that emergency powers are needed at this time, supporting the states of public emergency. The fact of the matter is, the states of public emergency were in place, Dervan, for over 1.5 years. Nothing tangible or positive came from them. No state of emergency cannot solve this crime problem. What is needed at this time? The police are quite aware of the geographical areas where the spike of crime and murder is occurring. Use the police and the army to saturate those areas. Get the military intelligence unit officers, they are well trained, remove them from upper camp, place them in some of these communities to get the requisite intelligence. The police and the army they can utilize cordon and searches, curfews, utilize what is called signal intelligence. I won't go too much in that. Signal intelligence and other intelligence units, like the National Intelligence Bureau and CETA, go after the major crime producers, but to be suggesting at this time something that has not worked, cannot work, will only oppress and victimize the poor citizens of this country. These are some of the things that can be done, excluding any state of public emergency. So I am very disappointed that Keith Duncan could be supporting states of public emergency for 3 months, he says. And according to him, extrapolating from his comments, detain these persons for up to 3 months. If no tangible evidence is found, release them. That would be a breach of the constitutional rights of the Jamaican people. So
What would be a breach of the constitutional rights of the Jamaican people?
To have states of public emergency, detain young men for up to 3 months, nothing is found on them, and release them without being charged.
Well, this is why we have a justice system in Jamaica, and that right now, as we speak, is being challenged. So we do have in place
Yes.
protection for our people. In other words, if a decision which may or may not be of a particular for a particular of a particular intention,
Yes.
If that goes off rail, if that goes awry, if that starts to run counter to the stated purpose, then action can be taken. We still have checks and balances in the system here in Jamaica.
I would respectfully put it to you, Dervan. During the tenure of the last state of public emergency, over 4,000 persons were detained, and the majority of them were released without being charged. If my memory serves me correctly, less than 300 persons were charged. That cannot be.
That's still a significant number.
That's a significant number. 4,000 detainees, and you release.
I'm saying 300 is still a significant number.
But you would be sacrificing the constitutional legal rights of the other numbers of persons in order just to be able to charge those 300 persons.
And those who are so aggrieved should should apply the law in that scenario. Should take on the state. This is where people like the public defender, the office of the public defender, comes in.
Yes.
Or just bring it to the attention of the office of the public defender. And knowing the public defender, she's always ready to protect the interest of the people. The public defender stands between us, the people, and the state.
So you are disagreeing with the opposition leader Mark Golding, that you're disagreeing with his standpoint that states of public emergency cannot be used to tackle crime at this stage in our country.
Now, the Constitution does allow the government of Jamaica to take the action necessary insofar as that action is prompted by activities which threaten, on the face of it, threaten in a significant way, Jamaica and Jamaicans.
Yes.
So, court case or no court case, the state has to act. You can always sue them after that, but the state must act to protect, to defend Jamaica and her subjects, her people.
Yes. Well, it would seem to me, Dervan, we are disagreeing here. There's no need.
No, we're not disagreeing. I'm just stating what the facts are. The fact of the matter is the Constitution hasn't been amended other than for the Charter of Rights, Section 3, some time ago. The Constitution is quite clear.
Yes.
Now, you can always challenge. You can challenge the Constitution as well. The court, the justice system provides for that.
Yes.
But I'm just saying it's a provision that is still available to the government.
It is still available, but I do not think it could be used for more than 3 weeks without being approved by Parliament.
Well, the state, we need to take the break. Just a moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15.
Yes, the bottom line is the state has a duty to protect its people and to protect its boundaries and to act accordingly. The Constitution gives the state that power.
Yes.
It's just a fact of life.
Yes.
But the system itself does provide, which is why they have checks and balances, which is why there has to be a 2/3 majority approval in the Senate to move to the next level. But even that, even failing to get that majority, you can still, it doesn't stop the state from declaring that on this or that or the other basis, we have to take action in the best interest of Jamaica and Jamaicans. And furthermore, the Prime Minister himself is the Minister of Defense.
The Charmaine question is, Dervan, a very important question. The states of public emergency were in place for 1.5 years and nothing was accomplished.
No, when you start arguing those absolute terms now, then you undermine your argument, because the numbers will show, the statistics will show a dramatic drop in homicides in Montego Bay, in the parish of St. James.
Yes.
That was quite obvious.
Yes.
Like I think it was a 78% drop or something like that, a precipitous drop. So it is not a cure-all or a fix-all, but the idea is to stop the bleeding.
Yes.
So it should not be going on and on and on and on until thy kingdom come, but used in a way that minimizes or suppresses whatever threat was emerging.
Yes.
And once there is a level of satisfaction that threat has been neutralized, then you move on to other matters or other areas.
That I will agree with wholeheartedly. And what is I must commend the Minister of Finance, Dr. Clark, for allocating $1 billion. I think he said in the first instance to cover a 2-month period. I am hoping, Dervan, that if it requires overseas loans, the government needs to get those loans equipped. They continue to equip the police force and the army, because already since the start of the year, there has been contrast in the murder figure between this point in time to last year. This time, there has been a 17% increase. We cannot continue on this trajectory. So I am hoping that additional funds can be allocated to the police and the army. And in closing, I heard the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, the hardworking Fitz Bailey, urging, like myself, if I might be so audacious, urging the government to come to a successful wage agreement with the rank and file officers and to give them the overtime hours which are due to them. I am hoping, Dervan, the police rank and file members are so poorly paid. I think it would be a good gesture if the Minister of Finance, Dr. Clark, would give them the 8 years of overtime payment which is due to them, and seek to come in short order to a successful wage agreement with them. But things cannot continue dragging out with this wage issue.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I can never understand why it is, as a country, we spend so much time haggling in trying to arrive at reasonable positions, and we know reasonable is relative, but we're all supposed to be able to reason, but to arrive at a reasonable position and to settle these outstanding matters. We cannot talk about tackling crime and fighting crime if the crime fighters are uncomfortable, if the crime fighters are unhappy, if the crime fighters don't feel that their lives matter, their affairs matter. It just doesn't make any sense. And yes, we know we have to manage our limited resources, because it's not like we have an endless supply of funds as a country, etc. But we are likely to make more money if we're able to settle with the police and get them in a frame of mind. Now, people need to understand there's a thing called peace of mind. If my mind is taken up with all the bills that I have to pay and the insufficient funds to be able to pay those bills and to take care of my family, that is going to consume me. It might consume me to the point where when I go out to do my professional duties, I lose it. I lose it in dealing with a member of the public. Not because that necessarily because of what that member of the public did or didn't do, but because of that lack of a peace of mind that my affairs are being taken care of, which is why I've always said on this program, I'm not a fan of money. I'm a fan of benefits. Benefits. So when you have certain benefits, it means you can sleep you can sleep in a comfortable way, knowing that those areas are covered on the basis of the benefits, not so much the money, because money is so fleeting. You get the money today, and once you have money, you start spending, and before you know it, you're broke again until next week or next 2 weeks or next month, etc. So I'm with you on that. We need to get it together once and for all and arrive at a position that is reasonable. I know it is relative and it takes time and it takes negotiations, but surely if we want, what do we want to show? What do we want to show? What do we want to show the rest of the society, and in particular, those who engage in criminal activity in this country? Do we want to show them a country that is at war with its police, a country that is not taking care of the police? What kind of an image is that? That's certainly not what we want. So we have to do better than this.
Absolutely. And I'm hoping that the government will successfully negotiate with the police federation so that they can withdraw that case that they have within the courts seeking to get their overtime hours. And currently, the Jamaica Defense Force officers have right of passage on the toll road. I am urging once again Minister Horace Chang to see how best he can ensure that the police on duty have right of passage. They do not have right of passage on the toll road, enter the toll road, even if they're in pursuit of an alleged criminal. The army officers have right of passage that needs to be dealt with, and the minister also needs to take a look at the supplies to the police officers at the rank and file level. I am informed that there are shortages of supplies of certain boots and uniforms for the rank and file officers. Thank you so very much, Dervan. Have a pleasant weekend. All the best to you and to your listeners. Keep up the excellent work on this program. Always a distinct pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. Likewise. Take care. All the best. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876 922-411-2 to 5, 876-922-411-2 to 5. Text line, same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, but you can also call us on WhatsApp. Let's see. Where do we start in terms of the messages? Clearing the unrelated ones first to get to the ones that are relevant to the program right now. So here is one. Errol in Spanish Town says, "Hi, Dervan, good day. I agree with Mr. Bailey. The criminals we have here are nothing short of domestic terrorists. Personally, I liken them to Boko Haram in Nigeria." Well, we've been talking about domestic terrorism long before uh, uh, Deputy Commissioner Bailey. We've been talking about that for a long time. We've been reminding ourselves that we are the new colonial masters. We are the new oppressors. We are the ones who are oppressing ourselves. We are the ones who are enslaving each other when it comes on by way of the high levels of crime and violence in this country. And we are the terrorists, not foreigners. You notice it's not people from outside of Jamaica who are terrorizing us. It's Jamaicans terrorizing Jamaicans. We saw that a long time ago, and we've been talking about it a long time ago. Good that the Deputy Commissioner has just recognized that. This one says, "Good day, Dervan. What do we hold sacred in Jamaica? The value of life means nothing to most of us. We're upset when the foreign government tell their nationals to stay away from Jamaica. There is a reason. We are one of the murder capitals of the world. It's a disgrace. Government, your job is to provide security for your people, not to paint sidewalks green or orange." Thank you for your message. Well, the U.S. government has a right to notify its citizens of countries that are not safe, whether due to health issues like the global pandemic, the coronavirus, COVID-19, or rampant criminality in a particular country or a particular part of a country. We're supposed to do that as well. That's what we're talking about in terms of protecting a government protecting, or the state protecting its people, and by extension its country. Crocs in Black River says, "Good day, Mr. Malcolm. The level of corruption over many years has matched the level of murders. So if we have been in a state of emergency where murders are concerned, then so too is it in terms of corruption. It goes without saying, Crocs in Black River, I agree. So if emergency powers are to be deployed for one, then it must be for the other. Absolutely, Crocs in Black River, but you make sure when you are deploying and going that you have your evidence or prepare for a lawsuit. That's just a fact of life. But it shouldn't dissuade you from doing your job if you know that you have palpable evidence that can stand up to scrutiny. Go ahead. And the message goes on. In fact, if we curb corruption, maybe there would be enough money to aid in the fight against murders. That has long been agreed, Crocs in Black River. We know the figures in terms of how much money we lose as a country due to corruption. And we have to take action. I was looking at going through the newspapers as usual. You know, I like to comb through the archives and seeing how many times we've had reports, again, from the Auditor General about this or that not happening or being out of place. And invariably, it makes the news when members of these committees are roughing up the public servants in Parliament, and then we don't hear anything else after that, because we're too much about the theater as opposed to seriously pursuing those who are taking us for a ride.
Importers, provide proper invoices for customs when presenting goods for examination. This could prevent delays during clearance. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30.
Jesus, Jesus, oh Jesus, Jesus, oh how I love to call your name.
Tune in to Power 106 FM, the longest running religious call-in program on Jamaican radio, The Prayer Line. Join Pastor Errol Hay and his team as they offer spiritual guidance and intercession grounded in biblical doctrine. Hear powerful testimonies from Jamaica and around the world. The Prayer Line, a source of support and inspiration in these trying times. That's The Prayer Line on Power 106 FM, Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Join us.
You shall live declare the works of the Lord. Amen. You shall be a living testimony here on the Lord's side.
Dear Mr. Jesus, I just had to write to you. Something really scared me when I saw it on the news. A story about a little girl beaten black and blue. Jesus, thought I'd take this.
"3:30 p.m. Monday, January 14, 1907, was a regular day, sunny and hot, with a cloudless sky and a faint breeze. At 3:32 p.m., and that's the time right now, at 3:32 p.m., the city of Kingston was busy enough. All was alive and well. Suddenly, there came the sound of a rushing mighty wind, followed by the sound of a train roaring in a tunnel, and the violent shaking of the earth, so that men and buildings were tossed about like puppets. Screams split the air. Within 10 to 20 seconds, a town of 46,000 was immobilized. Hundreds lay dead or dying, buried beneath mounds of rubble and dust. According to statistics at the time, 1,200 people were killed and 90,000 left homeless. By 3:33 p.m., which is the time right now, 3 shocks had been felt, and every building in Kingston sustained some damage. Many in the lower part of the city were destroyed. You are listening there to an account of the 1907 earthquake by W. Ralph Hall Kane. And for the first time since it was erected in 1859, the light of the Plum Point Lighthouse on the Palisadoes Road goes out. The fire brigade station and equipment were destroyed by the falling building, and some of the men were killed. Consequently, there was no equipment and not enough trained people to put out the numerous fires which started within 20 minutes of the earthquake. Fires blazed through the streets of Kingston, lasting about 4 days. In many cases, finishing off what the earthquake had started. According to Melvin B.M. Belay, in his 1956 book, Ready for the Plaintiff, the owners of most business properties carried insurance, but only for fire, not earthquake. The premiums on earthquake insurance were prohibitive, and so none of them had insurance, had earthquake insurance. So if earthquake came first, and started the fires, then no insurance was to be paid. It took one credible witness to prove which came first. He was able to report the essential facts because he had been curious. He had lived on a hill back of the city. He had noticed a pillar of smoke. Out of curiosity, he took measurement of it by triangulation. He had just computed its height at 255 feet, so he testified, when the earthquake struck. The fire was said to have been started by a maid upsetting a Bunsen burner in a doctor's King Street office. The fire causing the smoke obviously had been first. After a long and hard-fought lawsuit, the jury found in favor of the policyholders, and the insurance companies were forced to pay near $1 million in compensation, which aided in the city's rebirth. Rampant looting broke out, and armed guards were posted throughout the city. During the earthquake, the mayor and his council of Kingston were meeting at their offices at the corner of Duke Street and Water Lane. The shock destroyed the building, and 3 councillors were thrown through a window into the street. 2 survived, but the third person, the mayor, 68-year-old Charles Tate, died 1 month later. More than 800 people died, and damage was assessed at £2 million. Help was sent from England, the total amount being over $250,000. The imperial government lent Jamaica £800,000 to assist in the rebuilding of Kingston. Owing to the prompt assistance which the colony received from the mother country, there was no starvation. As quickly as possible, normal conditions were restored. An assistance committee, at the head of which at first was Dr. Enos Nuttall. His name lives on in Nuttall Hospital, the then Archbishop of the West Indies, the longest-serving chairman of the board of what is now known as the Jamaica University College. He did great service in relieving the wants of the people. One very unfortunate incident occurred. An American squadron steamed into Kingston Harbor shortly after the disaster and offered assistance. The admiral landed armed Marines without the express sanction of the governor, Sir Alexander Swetnam, who asked that the armed men be withdrawn. The Americans were offended, and it was held by the British government that the governor had insulted the admiral. The governor was told to apologize. He did not, then tendered his resignation in spite of the efforts of the colonial office to induce him to withdraw his resignation. He refused to do so, and in the same year retired into private life. Under Governor Sidney Olivier's guidance, a new city arose on the ruins created by the earthquake. He was responsible for the building of the chief structures on King Street and the laying out of the public gardens there and several new roads. The story of the 1907 earthquake. It happened on this day in the year 1907. And the story started to unfold at 3:30 p.m. That's an important part of our history. And we commend it to those of you who love history. Let's get back to your messages and your calls. 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, but also your WhatsApp messages, your voice notes, and you can call us via WhatsApp as well. Here's a message from Diana Watkins Forrester. She says, "Good afternoon, Sir Malcolm and listeners. I'm home here on the island, eating and listening, praying they catch the monsters who took this poor mother's innocent child." We join you in conveying similar sentiments. Diana Watkins Forrester, welcome home. Another message, this is a follow-up from Crocs in Black River. He says a lot of the murders are linked to lotto scamming, yet we hear very little about a concerted effort being made to stamp out the practice. But Crocs, I thought I read and heard and saw where the police in the affected states, the states where Americans have been scammed by Jamaicans, are working together in order to, first of all, entrap or otherwise capture those engaged in scamming. There is a cross-border arrangement where that is concerned. And if you were to check the archives, Crocs, you would hear, you would see, and you would read about cases that have been taken to court in the US and have been brought to a conclusion in the interest of or in favor of the complainants. So yeah, that, as far as we're aware, that has been going on for some time, Crocs. Anyway, your message goes on. If the local police are a part of the problem because of them benefiting from the proceeds, well, we hope not. But from what we have seen, read, heard, and experienced so far, it wouldn't be far-fetched to venture in that area of thought. And then he says, then maybe we should invite the FBI to come in and handle the matter. I do believe the FBI has been involved as well, Crocs. That's what I'm saying. I've read about it. I've heard about it. I've seen footage on TV as well, and stories carried telling us who the scammers are, who have been in custody and who are taken before the courts, etc. So some of that has happened, Crocs. He says, I can guarantee that murders would go down to below 1,000 in short order. That is, I'm sure he's saying here, if we invited the FBI to come in and handle the matter. Well, we have tried foreign assistance before, Crocs in Black River. Remember, we've had, these policemen, Shields, Green, trying to remember all the names, Shields, Green, about 4 or 5 of them were here in Jamaica. And the idea was, because Jamaicans had been clamoring for it, let's get help from overseas. So we got help from the United Kingdom. And we had 4 UK police here in Jamaica, put in the higher ranks of the constabulary. And I don't know, I'm not sure if anyone has done some kind of qualitative analysis of the impact of the UK police. What I remember is that they were the ones to put in place an arrangement where once a crime is committed in a particular area, they roll out the yellow tape and yellow tape the area, and you have the forensics team in their jackets on location and their masks, and they're picking up the spent shells and they're making notes, they're numbering them and the positions in which they fell, etc. As far as I can remember in my short time on this earth, it's the police from the UK who brought that level of professionalism to the securing of the crime scene. That's one thing that I can humbly say demonstrated was the outcome of the input of the police from the United Kingdom. I'm trying to think of other possible actions. Let's take the break and come back.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45. Sipa copper.
Sipa copper?
Yes, sipa copper.
Sipa copper what?
Sipa copper Ital Jamaican Moringa tea bags.
Sipa Copper Moringa, Turmeric, Vervine, Neem, and Guinea Hen wheat tea bags today. Sipa Copper tea is available in supermarkets island-wide. So Sipa Copper today. You'll be happy you did. Distributed by Caramed Group Limited.
Never have to hurt Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm? Dear Mr. Jesus, please tell me what to do. And please don't tell my daddy that my mommy hits me too. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm?
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. We have a call coming in on our text line, which doubles as our WhatsApp number. And Curtis is on the line. Hello, Curtis. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sir Malcolm and everyone. Yes, Mr. Malcolm. Yeah, what the gentleman was saying there, with the jury. Yes, the DPP, yeah, and Mr. Alexander Williams was having a discussion on Dean Jackson Miller. But what the liars are saying, it can't hold water, Mr. Malcolm. It's still no sin. Because if God forbid and I should have a case in the court, I would rather to know that a person would be well trained to really try the case more than one person that don't have no training, no form of training and nothing. So every time I find out that anything that is going to work good for the country, the lions, they always come out against it, Mr. Malcolm.
Well, I don't know you can come to that sweeping conclusion that anything. You have to watch those absolute terms. Anything, nothing, no one, etc. You have to watch those terms.
I will enjoy the absolute. That's the most things. The liars, they want the jury at them because they can't get to really clear the jury's mind. I remember a case some time ago where in this Queen's Council, the case was there, and all different kind of biblical quoting that they give, and all different kind of something that the liars they want where they can clear the jury's mind. They know that they won't be able to do it with a judge. So
well, such is the nature of the justice system. The idea, as we've always said on this program, it's not about the justice system it's not about love, it's not about peace, it's not about home. I beg your pardon, hope. It's not about It's not about honesty. It's not about truth. It's not about trust. It perhaps is not even about justice. It's about proving beyond a reasonable doubt that someone is guilty or is innocent or otherwise, proving beyond a reasonable doubt. And naturally, the lawyers get paid to protect the interest of their clients, and they are going to apply every tool that is necessary to be applied in taking advantage of the established practices of the judiciary.
Yes.
So you're not going to get away from that. But in any case, remember, as I said earlier on, that's why we have checks and balances within the system. So if a decision is made, say for example, a decision, an autocratic decision to say, look, this case will be tried by a judge only, full stop. Then the very justice system allows for whoever is impacted by such a decision to challenge it. That's where the checks and balances come in. So if you think at any stage that your rights are being breached, like your rights to be tried by a jury of your peers, if you think that is being breached, then by all means, go ahead and take action.
Yes, but in my opinion, I think them should abolish jury trial. Yeah, I think that should be done away with.
And the basis of your conclusion, I think I heard some of what you said in terms of people who are, it sounds as if you are being discriminating in terms of the kind of people who, some of the people who end up as members of juries, who perhaps lack certain abilities to be able to reason and apply mental rigor to a particular case in order to come to a position. Is that the main reason why you have a problem with jury trials?
Yes, that is the main reason. That is the main reason. I've already seen persons that call for a jury. That case I can differentiate the night from the day. So even jury should like some retired police or things like that.
Yeah, but the system is so set up that any Jamaican can be called at any time to serve as a juror. And so it's not that they go out and seek out the people who you think lack the capacity to apply the kind of intellectual rigor that some people believe needs to be applied when you're dealing with court matters.
Surely. Yeah, move on to something else now. Yeah, I keep calling for the state of emergency to return. I think Mr. Duncan and the private sector should really call out for the government and the coincide with the government and talk and say something that the police them can get some better salary, Mr. Malcolm. You just imagine, Mr. Malcolm, I work in somewhere. I know that I'm a children at home, hungry, my wife need money, and what my family need money, and I don't have the money. What time I have time to concentrate to really think about gunman and all these things? So the police, they must give the police more money, and then
mind you, more money is relative, and more money is still not going to be enough. In fact, we can always do with more. It will never be enough. But the idea is just the principle behind it, that we can as responsible adults who have the interest of Jamaica at heart, that we should be able to just sit down and work it out, and not necessarily washing the linen in public, because that is not necessary. What is necessary is both sides, both the state and the representatives through the federation, the police federation, sitting down and working it through. Everybody doing their homework. What would be regarded as a reasonable offer, or in the instance of where retroactive sums are due, how soon can we work out a timeline as to how and when we pay those sums, and so on and so forth. Just reason it through, because in the final analysis, we're all working for Jamaica and Jamaicans, aren't we?
Yes. But the whole thing is, Mr. Malcolm, if you ever look and see the whole mentality set up, if like the person really, if it's a road bad, if you get it fixed, person will go to block the road. It's like say, when you have the whole slavery mentality or what, everything has been done by for you to really get any good result, you have been done by force. If you're talking to somebody, those persons, if you're talking to them, or you're talking to them in a nice way, they don't really pay their mind. You have to really go on somewhere for them to pay their mind. So it's like say, the whole thing, this thing we're in, like say.
Well, you know what you would have done? You would have given somebody else control over you and your emotions. We have to be mindful of that, of allowing people to, as we say in Jamaican parlance, to draw we out. We have to be mindful of that, because they draw we out, and then we behave much worse than them, and then we become the subject. So if you allow somebody to control you in that regard, then you become somebody else's puppet, somebody else's slave. Somebody is controlling you. We must be in control of ourselves.
Yeah. I truly believe that. But if you go back to government we're talking about now, if the police them continue to just sit down your nurses and persons, like just sit down here and just round table talking, you find say they would never respond to them. That's what really say, well then look here, we have a children arms and things like that. For them to really respond to them. Because they are talking about the private sector reform. Give the people them some money in their pocket before private sector reform come. Like the people, you can wait for private sector reform when persons get 70,000 a month before tax travel. The person, the men that work on my farm get more money more than that, Mr. Malcolm.
Really? Do you have any vacancies on your farm? No, but seriously, the point, this is the same point we were making earlier on, that we should be able, in the best interest of Jamaica, land we love, to arrive at a reasonable position, and that we settle this once and for all, so we can get on with the business of securing Jamaica, land we love.
Mr. Malcolm, you know when I'm working, Mr. Malcolm, and I know that the working environment really nice, can really roll with my colleague, and the boss and everything, and we know the money good. I can't say that, Mr. Malcolm. Even when I just can't live £100, I will live for £200. It's like say, motivate.
Yes, my mother would say, encouragement sweetens labor. Yes.
We should give the people the money, Mr. Malcolm. Money.
Although, mind you, I'm not big on the money, as you've heard me say. I'm not big on the money. The money is fleeting. It just comes and goes like that. I'm big on benefits. The benefits tend to be more substantial and sustainable than just getting some cash in your hand, and you maybe go and you buy a new car or some other, buy a big screen TV, as we say in Jamaica, and then the money is finished, right? But I think more emphasis should be placed on benefits. Those of us who are into negotiations need to negotiate more benefits rather than just the straight cash.
Yes, and I'm a believer in that, Mr. Malcolm. But yes, you are the person who is negotiating for the police now, Mr. Malcolm. There is no way, no matter the benefit they're going to get, you cannot have a pay scale that is set from 70,000.
No, but you're missing the point. In some respects, the benefits will minimize the need for more cash necessarily, or an excessive amount of cash, because the benefits will ensure that you don't have to take care of those things that the benefits are now taking care of. You get the picture?
Yes.
Right. So that's the point I'm making. So you don't need that, right? Taking care money to buy, like vouchers, for example, for the children who are going to school, the children of the police, to get their books. So right away the parents don't have to go into their pockets. Special arrangements through the National Housing Trust, NHT. Why? Because they are members of the police force. And so there's a special, so whereas some people might be paying X or subject to a Y condition, the police wouldn't be subject to that because it's part of the benefits that they get. So they don't have to worry about taking out money to deal with certain things.
Truly.
Yeah.
Mr. Malcolm, I just hope all this madness across the country, Mr. Malcolm, may stop. Because
we hope so. We're up on the break again. Would you like to hold or leave it there?
Leave it here for this evening.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4 o'clock. Fame Frequency kicks off the first 2022 Reggae and Dancehall Invasion Party.
That's not going to happen this afternoon because there are some other matters that have to be sorted out. So, but thanks anyway. Just tell her some other things are being worked on. So it's not going to happen this afternoon. Thanks.
Dance your way into our Zoom VIP Watches area with your host, Debbie Bissoon, or tune in live on Fame 95 FM, Hits 92 FM, and RETV, and online at OneSpotMedia.com, and on the Same Frequency Mixcloud channel. Go dance this Saturday. It's reggae, it's dancehall, it's Fame Frequency Reggae and Dancehall Party, 9 p.m. to midnight. Sponsored by Smirnoff Vodka, the world's #1 vodka. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
I know that you could save her and take her up to the sky, but she will never have to hurt again. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm? Dear Mr. G.
Que hora es en espagnol? Son las 4:02. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4 heures de Tiensai. Tidien le. Si dien liang ar fen. 2 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you had a checkup lately? If not, now is a good time. Let's not wait till we get sick to get a checkup. How about that? Checking in with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. Live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yes, Mr. Malcolm, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm giving thanks for life. And you?
I'm doing the same. I wish you all the best for 2022.
Thank you, and the very same to you and yours.
As a fact, your station, your workers, the workers, I should say.
Yes.
Part of Power 106.
Thank you.
I haven't spoken to you for a little while, but I have to call you. When anything affects children.
Sorry, can you give us a little more volume on?
I was saying, when anything touch children that is not good for them, it really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart goes to that family that lost that 9-year-old child.
Yes.
You know, it is really saddening, Mr. Malcolm, to know that we are killing off our nurses and doctors and teachers and other professions. You know, it is really, really so sad.
It is.
I think some of these young men that are going around doing these things, their head needs to be checked. I don't know. I don't know how could you hurt a child, you know? It's really, really so sad, you know?
It is.
And next thing I would like to know is when those as they call it the young men, if they have any talk with their mother, especially mothers and grandmothers, do you know?
No, I don't think that's routine. I'm not sure.
I don't know, because I was just wondering, because Mr. Malcolm, sometimes when I listen to you, I wonder how your brain holds so much things. So anything I don't know, I know I can ask you. I wonder how your brain holds so much things. Trust me, your program is such a good program. I haven't spoken to you for quite some while now. But if I'm not on the road, I can't wait for 2 o'clock come. God no. I'm not making you feel good. It's just the honest truth. Although it should make you feel good too.
Thank
But
you.
it's the honest truth. Your program is very informative and you can learn a lot,
Thank you.
Again, I believe one of the main things for crime is education. And I'll never stop saying that. Mr. Malcolm, too many children, even before COVID, school age, not going to school. I don't know why what do you call those people that work with the Ministry of Education, social workers? If the school don't attach to them and let them know that the child not going to school, I've seen it in my community. You know where my community is, and I've seen it long before we even dream of COVID. Children leave primary school and that's it. They make dress up September morning, spend maybe until December, don't go back January. Some don't even full out a term, and because the parents are the children and the children are the parents, they just don't go back to school.
Yes.
And yes, Mr. Malcolm, you remind me and other people do that some of them goes to high school. But I think education have a lot to do with crime.
Yeah. True.
I will never stop saying that. Children need education. I am a poor mother and I insist that my 2 boys go. And I have my grandson here and I insist that he go. He has to go. I say, a child will tell you that their tummy hurting you. How long, how often you want them to use that on you? Send them to school and the teacher will call you to come pick them up back. But school is a must. Education is a must and that will help you to make life better for your child. Wouldn't you want your child to live better than you? Our children? People must take education serious, man. Mr. Malcolm, we just joke around education, man. It needs to be more serious about education. Children need to go to school.
Yes, it's like what I always say to the youngsters. Education is your passport. Education is your visa. Education is your plane ticket. It will take you everywhere.
Everywhere. Yes. And sometimes, I don't know. I just don't understand why I come and do certain work and I want my children to come and do the same work. Why don't you want your child or children to live better than you? Why? And this is harder time than even when you were younger.
Yep.
You understand? So Malcolm, there are times when I was at the Ministry of Health for 15 years as an office attendant, and there were times I could not buy lunch. Sometimes I laugh at myself and wonder what a patty value at that time when I could not buy it. But my children must go to school and they must have their lunch because they can't go without the lunch. How they're going to learn?
Yes.
And I talk to people all the while. I tell them if I see children on the road and it's school time, I say, why are you not going to school today? I insist on people to send their children to school, but some of them will never learn. It just, I know nothing. You go primary school and it's done. Primary school can get you a job.
Yeah, well, it has gotten a lot of people jobs over the years, but I get the point that you're making. Primary, because there are some of us who could only manage primary school. Some of us as Jamaicans, I'm talking in general terms now. And the primary school, the little that some of us learned in primary school, some of us have done much better with that little that we learned at primary school, much better than others who have gone all the way up to university.
Give me an example, Mr. Malcolm, because I didn't go further than 1 year or 13 I left school. It didn't put me very far.
Yes, it's what they used to call elementary school.
Oh, you live there? No, you live
elementary.
There 15. I think it was 15.
Right, elementary school. Because the thinking was the what I've heard from those who lived it is that the quality of the education at the elementary level was very good. That you could essentially start life. When I say start life, meaning you could add value to an enterprise, so a business, a community farm, something based on the preparation that you got at the elementary level.
And maybe step up with the evening class after that too.
Right. So there are people who have benefited from elementary school education, and they've done well for themselves. But ideally, we want everybody to achieve their full potential.
That's right. And even if you can't
Yes.
get 6 subject or 10 subject, you get yourself a skill.
Because that's part of the problem. And
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know when I'll be able to read this massive document put out by the commission set up by the Prime Minister to look at the transformation of education,
The Patterson.
Orlando Patterson
I
Commission.
heard about it.
I hope I'll be able to make the time to go through it.
Maybe you don't have to reach everything at all times.
Yes.
At one time.
Right, to go through. But clearly, what is clear is that we've been straitjacketing our children for decades now. In other words, just trying to put them in a box, essentially, to say you do this and you do, as opposed to, in other words, it used to be a one-way street. It still pretty much is.
Everybody wants to be lawyer, doctor, teacher.
Right. No, outside of that, no. It's where the teacher is teaching, and we just just absorb everything that is being said by the teacher. So it becomes, I teach, you write. I teach, you listen, and do your test, do your exam. And that's it. And everybody is expected to perform at the same level, which is not so. What we really need to do is to take a children-centered approach, a child-centered approach, a student-centered approach, where we first of all, and we have said it multiple times on this program, we should start at birth. There is a passport that the child gets at birth from the RGD, I believe. It's called a passport. And all that documentation with all the facts in relation to the child, that's supposed to follow the child all the way up to university. In other words, when that child is being admitted to kindergarten or early childhood education, the teachers of that institution have the details on the child. They know what conditionalities, what conditions the child suffers from, what cognitive elements, the child's ability to recognize this and that and whatever. And so along the way, we are nurturing that child. We are, according to the child's obvious functionalities, we continue to do that. So what we do then, we tailor make the learning program for this particular child, who will no doubt not be the only child, because there are likely to be other children who operate at that same level. And so you tailor a program that meets the needs of children who are in that particular stream, and so on. So when you do that, it means you are reaching the children where they are, as opposed to dictating to say, this is where you need to be, and this is where we're putting you. And then we put them in a straitjacket, so they can't go left, they can't go right, they can't go.
They don't pass 10 subject or 8 subject.
Right, exactly. It shouldn't be that. The assessment needs to be more broad scale.
And next thing again, you shouldn't be the one at a certain age, when they reach a certain age, to choose for them. Because when in most cases, when the child choose for themselves, they do a better job at it.
But this is it, because as parents and guardians, we have a tendency to say, me did want to become a doctor, me never make it, so you have to become the doctor. We need to stop that. Stop offloading our burdens on our children, quite frankly.
And because they don't become the doctor and they become something else, you love them less.
No, we must expose our children to all the possibilities, the vocational, entrepreneurial, educational, all the options that are out there. Expose them and pay attention to them. Pay attention to see what are they gravitating towards.
Yeah.
Right? And then what you do, you try to help to steer them
along that way,
along that particular path, and expose them even further to that area where you see they're expressing a significant amount of interest. That way, you will have children enjoying learning, because then learning is appealing to their taste. That has to be the approach. Yes.
I don't know. I don't know where we're going to get there with so many children in one class.
Well, that's another matter because the poor schools are struggling to find space. They have to be splitting classes in two, and one group from the same class here and the other group there.
That's another thing again. If we didn't have the crime so high, we could put more money in
yes,
education and
exactly.
Get more teachers.
Hold on, please. One moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:15. Consumer Talks, educating and empowering consumers towards a more vigilant and confident consumer-friendly Jamaica. Join us every second and last Tuesday of each month at 9:35 on Real Business. Listen and learn about your rights and responsibilities. Learn how the CAC works to empower consumers in Jamaica. Consumer Talks, brought to you by the Consumer Affairs Commission, protecting your rights, securing our future.
Jesus, thought I'd take this right to you. Dear Mr. Jesus, I don't understand why they took her mom and dad away. I know that they don't mean to hit the frog and angry hands. Tell them just how big they are.
Que hora es en español? Son las 4:16. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 4:16. 现在几点了？4点10六分。16 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you done your homework yet? Yes, young people, we know it's a Friday, but you know what we always say? Have some fun doing the homework now so you can have some more fun in a safe way this weekend. How about that? And as we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable. Education makes you trainable. Training makes you employable. And the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. Let's continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story. Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. 876-922-4112-5. The text line, same as the WhatsApp number, which means you can not only send us your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, but also your voice notes, and you can call us on WhatsApp. That number is 876-365-3346. 876-365-3346. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling Both Sides of the Story. Are you there? Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead.
Mr. Malcolm, I have a problem here. I would like you to help me with it.
What's happening?
The Minister of Finance did say the pensioner who is getting less than $10,000 per month would receive some benefit.
It sounds like you're listening to the radio. If you're listening to the radio, you're going to be confused. You have to listen to the phone and turn off the radio or move away from the radio.
I'm doing that. Some care benefit. I was one of who wants to get it, but I'm sick and cannot go to the post office. I sent my daughter there with a letter along with my ID to collect it for me. She was told by the post missus that I should come myself. I cannot go because I'm sick and cannot move. So I would like to hear from the finance minister. The post missus said that she get that order not to deliver it to anybody besides the pensioner herself. So I would like somebody to get in touch with the finance minister and hear something about it for me.
Are you talking about the special pension that the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is now offering, or about the $10,000 incentive?
Yes, the $10,000.
Oh, and someone applied for you on your behalf?
No, you didn't have to apply. It is coming from the NIS office.
All right, I tell you what, we are going to take your information off air. We're going to share your information with a representative of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security so that that person can investigate your case and make sure that you get your money, because they do visit senior citizens who are infirmed, meaning you can't move about, you can't walk about beyond the confines of the space you occupy at home. And they have their officers, their field officers, who go out and ensure that if it's John Brown is supposed to get the money goes to John Brown. So I would humbly suggest that you leave your particulars with the program assistant who answered the phone earlier on, and we're going to share your information with a member of the team at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, in particular the section that deals with NIS matters.
Yes, Mr. Morgan.
Malcolm, one moment, please. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hello, Mr. Malcolm.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm giving thanks for life. And you?
Praise the Lord. I am doing the same thing. I wish for you a good new year.
The very same to you and yours.
Thanks, my brother. I am to be on your program for the very first time, but I am a regular listener to your program. And like one lady said earlier on, your program is very informative and very educative. I'm happy to listen to you.
Thank you.
Somebody mentioned earlier on about corruption in the police force, because that person said that the police themselves are benefiting from the lateral scam, and it is true.
Really? You have that evidence?
Definitely.
Have you shared the evidence with the police?
Mr. Malcolm, I did not do that, and I tell you why. The same police that you might share the evidence with is one of them who is one of the corrupt ones.
No, but you can't make a sweeping statement like that. If I have information that a particular cop has acted corruptly or is engaged in corruption, I am going to find a way to get in touch with a high-ranking member of the force. Also, there is the award-winning Crime Stop program, which has never ever been compromised, and there are other options that are open to you. You see, this is where, as citizens, we have a responsibility, we have a duty in the name of securing Jamaica, land we love. When we get that information, to find, if it means camping outside of the police commissioner's office, I'm prepared to do that if I have vital information for the commissioner that the commissioner can act on.
You are so right. Well, let me say this to you, Mr. Malcolm. I personally sit down more than once, more than twice, and see these policemen have been collecting from these cameras. We are into a very, very serious mess.
And I'm saying to you, you didn't have your phone with you. You couldn't take a picture or set up the phone in a way that you can record what was being said. Well, I'm just saying, and doing so safely. I mean, people don't have to know what's happening until you get protection, because that's another thing that people don't take advantage of in Jamaica. There is police protection, the witness protection program, which has never been compromised in Jamaica. There is that as well.
But there there are so many people who went into witness protection, Mr. Malcolm, they come back home regret it because of the treatment that they dished out with them while they were in that.
Well, I don't know about so many people unless you have interviewed all the people, which is highly unlikely because that's a secret service, quite frankly. And you wouldn't be able to even know who was in witness protection. If people come out and run up their mouth, they better watch themselves because they might be putting their lives in jeopardy.
I tell you something, even listen to some of these calling programs, you hear people come who went into witness protection plan and come out publicly and
No, but hold on there now. We have to remember that not because somebody says something is necessarily means that it is in fact so. My late mother used to remind me that mouth make for say anything, it turn crossway. So let's be careful on that. Not because you can take up a phone and call a radio station and say, me no personally say. Anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. And there's no way of verifying the veracity of that information.
But I don't know. For the main fact, listen to your program and get to my understanding is that the salary that the police personnel are receiving, it is so simple in terms of the daily bill that the police them find themselves in a position where they push to be corrupt because like somebody said earlier as a police, sometimes the police get them paid done before them get it. They don't have no other income, so them find themselves in a position where not all of them, but some of them becomes corrupted.
Yeah, and it comes down to in the final analysis. Yes, by all means, let us try our best to compensate or frontline workers, in this case the police. Let's do our best. Having said that, there is a thing called integrity, and if we're in a situation where it's not working out for us and we're being frustrated, it perhaps would we perhaps would be doing ourselves a favor by stepping away from that situation which has become toxic. So that's one way of dealing with it if it's not working out. And but if you decide to stay in it, you want to ensure that your dignity remains intact and your integrity remains intact, because that is a part of your brand. And if your integrity is out of whack, and your integrity, if you no longer exude that sense of commitment and all the other features, then it's time to go. It's time to do something else, or to just move on to another career, quite frankly.
All right, let me move on to something else, Mr. Marco.
Yes.
There is any business establishment in this country who have that right to entertain people within the curfew hours?
Let's see. The curfew hours mean exactly what they are supposed to mean, which is limited movement within a certain period. In our case, between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. For what accounts for the limited movement would be those engaged in essential services, or those who have a letter. Some people have an official letter to say they're exempt because, for example, they work in hospitality. The media people also have letters to say they are media. In fact, in some respects, it's not even your ID is good enough in some respects to, as long as you're not in a space drinking and gallivanting, and as opposed to moving to and from work. If you're going to and from work, you're going about your lawful business. It becomes problematic when you start to gather, when you start to group up and drink and flaunt the Disaster Risk Management Act. Hold a moment, please.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30.
NIS pensioners. The NIS is seeking to serve you better as we transition the frequency of payments using the pension order books from fortnightly to monthly. Starting January 2022, the number of pension order vouchers in your pension order books will be reduced from 13 to 6. Pensioners to be given new books in January will get the first set of 6 voucher pension order books. This means you will only need to visit the post office just once per month. Please note that your annual payment remains the same. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Jesus, Jesus, oh Jesus, Jesus, oh how I love to call your name.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for the longest running religious call-in program on Jamaican radio, The Prayer Line. Join Pastor Errol Hay and his team as they offer spiritual guidance and intercession grounded in biblical doctrine. Hear powerful testimonies from Jamaica and around the world. The Prayer Line, a source of support and inspiration in these trying times. That's The Prayer Line on Power 106 FM, Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Join us.
You shall live declaring Amen. You shall be a living testimony here on the Lord's side.
In blue, Jesus, thought I'd take this right to you.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 5 menos 28. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 5 heures moins 28. 现在几点了？5点加28分. 28 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be? Doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. A good time for us to continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Power 106 FM. Still taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. Thanks for holding. Please continue.
Yes, Mr. Malcolm, as I was saying, I am calling from New Paris, Manchester.
Well, don't say too much, because you have given us a lot of information already earlier on, and we don't want anybody to track you to find you to say that you're a police informer.
But however, there's a business establishment here in this said where I'm referring to earlier on.
Yes.
I am wondering if I don't know if it's a bar, or if it's a club, or if it's a guest house, but this particular establishment, I don't know if they have a different law for themselves, or they have no regard for the law of the land, because this establishment entertains people up until 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm talking about as loud as you can think. You can stay miles or more.
Have you ever called the police to report the matter?
More than once.
And what happened?
Nothing has been done. From my understanding, they claim that the proprietor have license to operate and entertain their guests. But I am saying that...
But that would be up to 10 o'clock. Can't be beyond 10 o'clock in the night.
Well, let me tell you this, Mr. Malcolm. The authority need to pay attention to this. And this area is one of the hot crime spots in Manchester.
What? You said New Forest?
That's right. This establishment located on the border of St. Elizabeth and Manchester. And this has been going on for probably more than 2 years now, where any hours a night you wonder them have curfew that side, because any hours a night you sleep and wake, you hear all kind of motor vehicle. You hear music play with disturb the whole neighborhood. You hear DJ and mic. So I am wondering, how they allow this to continue, Mr. Malcolm? I don't know. Somebody has to need to get to the bottom of this thing, because this has been going on for quite a while now, and I don't see any stoppage coming towards it, because it doesn't get better, it's getting worse, because you can stay within far distance and hear the happenings at this particular establishment.
Is it a bar?
That's the question. That's what I was saying earlier on. I don't know if it's a bar or it's a club or it's a guest house, but it's an establishment that entertains people and sell alcohol beverage. And you have cars lining up like Rebel Salute at night. So I don't know what's happening in that particular area.
Well, let's put it out there publicly. New Forest community, there's an establishment which is on the border of St. Elizabeth and Manchester, which operates beyond the curfew hours. And here is an opportunity for, if there's anyone from the police listening, especially in that general area, you might want to put in an appearance in that region after between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m.
The police in that division are aware of it. Very much, very much aware of it.
Well, if they're aware of it and are doing nothing about it, then other police need to know about it. So we have put it out there publicly. Let's see what happens.
And not only that, sir. I think them have what them call Noise Abatement Act. Am I right?
Noise Abatement Act, yes.
Noise Abatement Act, right. And this particular establishment, their music is so loud that they disturb the neighborhood, and they disturb it. What you would call other neighborhood close to that said location. So they are disturbing a whole lot of people. Where I am living not that close to that particular location, and I tell you this, many nights it disturbs me to hear the music and the carrying on. You know, so I think the authority need to pay serious attention to this, because these people cannot continue like that, like they are lawless, or they have a law unto themselves, you know.
Yes,
so
indeed.
I am bringing it to the public out of concern, sir. Somebody needs to pay attention to what I am saying.
So over to the police. There's an establishment in New Forest on the border of St. Elizabeth and Manchester that this caller is suggesting is in violation of not just the Noise Abatement Act, but also the Disaster Risk Management Act, by virtue of their activities going beyond the 10 p.m. curfew.
You know something, Mr. Malcolm, whenever time that business place close at 9 o'clock, people from all different sections of the community, all different sections of the parish, to both parishes, that's where everybody assembles when the 9 o'clock close up, community. Everybody heads for that particular location, and we are talking about, we're not talking about 120, 30, 40 people, we're talking about more than hundreds of people, and gather there so nicely, and it is very, very disturbing to the neighbors in that community. So
they can now argue that the Maroons were allowed to carry on the celebration in pretty much the same way they would under COVID-19 conditions, and therefore, why shouldn't they too be entitled? I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah, the importance of there being one law for everybody. After all, COVID-19 is impacting Jamaica, all of Jamaica, not just a section of Jamaica. And it has implications. Whatever happens in any of the 770 or so communities in Jamaica, it has implications for other communities, especially a virus and indeed a variant, although we haven't yet confirmed it in Jamaica, a variant as infectious as the Omicron variant. So you've put the information out there. Let's see what happens.
Let me say one last thing, Mr. Malcolm, before I go. Like I said before, the police in that division, they are very much aware of what's taking place there. So I don't know why they don't take any action against that particular establishment.
We hear you loud and clear.
Thank you, my brother. Have a good one.
You too. Take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Good afternoon. Welcome.
All right. Yeah, when you called earlier on said education has something to do with crime. I don't know if you could explain that to me.
The inability of some of our families to keep it together and our schools to keep track of students who fall off the radar. When they fall off the radar, they're likely to end up in gangs and other cohorts, other groups that don't mean them any good.
Yeah, but to me, I believe it's a mindset. If, in other words, if a person make up your mind say I want to be a gang member, I will up to no good, it's on him. Because I know people who can read and they're going to trade, they're going to DJ, then do everything to make a better life for themselves. So it all depends on the individual.
Oh, naturally.
Am I right?
Naturally, everybody is different. And therefore, there are those who are easily influenced and who can be persuaded to enter a gang and to fire a gun.
Because I remember listening. There's a program on YouTube and call them Teach Them.
No, we'd rather you not. What is the nature of that program, please? Before you call the name, you call the name.
Like interview entertainment.
No, sir. No, sir. That is that's one of those spaces where anything goes. So, no, we don't want to give any free publicity. We don't want to give any free publicity to any such site.
Okay, all right. That about something. The last caller there. You mentioned about some corrupt cop, and you tell him that if he have information, he could pass it on. So Malcolm, if he's from the inner city here.
No, I'm not going to buy that from you. Every time you come here, you come with that. I'm not going to buy that. There are enough men and women of integrity left in Jamaica. We have our fair share of men and women of integrity who will take the information and confidently treat with the information. We have an award-winning, not just a Crime Stop program, an award-winning Crime Stop program, which works. It perhaps doesn't seem so because we are, in everything we punch above our weight in Jamaica, right? And that includes crime. So it might seem like that doesn't make any sense. An award-winning Crime Stop program in a country where crime is so rampant. Yes. So you're not seeing the effectiveness of the Crime Stop program because our crime rate is so high. But it doesn't take away from the effectiveness of the program where you call, you give information, and Arrangements are made and you get your reward, whatever it is, and nobody has to know who shared the information that led to the recovery of guns and ammunition and the arrest and charge of certain people. We have done that successfully in Jamaica, and we continue to do that. One moment, please.
So it's all right. What you see it advertised after I know you didn't know what after it's still going on.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45.
And take her up to the sky, for she will never have to hurt again. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm? Dear Mr. Jesus, please tell me what to do. And please don't tell my daddy that my mommy hits me too. Please don't let them hurt your children.
Que ahora es en español, son las 5 menos 14. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 5 heures moins 14. 现在几点了？5点加14分。14 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? How productive have we been today? Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for holding. Yes, please continue.
Yeah. All right. One the caller said, come and listen program a good one. One the caller mentioned about, I think the Zozo thing where they sometimes take up people and...
No, that's not ZOSO. That's the ZOSO stands for Zone of Special Operation. Apparently, it's been determined that there are about 20 or 25 communities in Jamaica responsible for about 70% or more of crimes committed in the country. And the thinking is, if we can take on these communities one by one, we can transform them one by one, then we can help to bring down the crime rate in a sustainable way and enhance the development of these 25 or so communities in Jamaica. And so there is a process where they clear the area, hold. They have an expression that they use. In other words, they make sure, first of all, that the area is secure. Then over time, you have teams, I think, from the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, and related bodies that move into the communities to help the citizens to get their identification, whether it be TRN or other forms of identification, birth certificates, to essentially bring them into the mainstream, as opposed to keeping them underground, because there are a lot of... So it does that kind of thing is done. They fix roads. If there's a drainage problem in the community, where whatever the problems are, they remove zinc fences and put up sturdier structures, etc. And the members of the community also get involved in the work that is being done. And so they then develop a greater sense of purpose, a greater sense of involvement, a greater sense of being a part of something good. And so that's what the zone of special operation is about. I believe what you were referring to was the state of public emergency, or state of emergency for short, which is a different matter. That is where things are so bad in a particular area that you have to call out the police and the army to go in, or to be strategically deployed, and they also strategically deploy assets in order to 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 to, to present a show of strength and determination to take on those who are prepared to create mayhem in communities. And so people are detained, they are processed, and depending on what information is found, other actions are taken. But it also, there's a tribunal that is usually set up. So for those detained who are detained, their representatives, their lawyers, and human rights representatives can, on their behalf, make representation to the tribunal to say, either you're going to, well, I don't know if they still say the same thing, either you're going to charge my client or release him. But there is that bit of check and balance, right? It doesn't always work out that way in terms of everybody being able to benefit from the tribunal for whatever reason. But that is the difference. Is they can be held for an extended period without being charged. That's the state of public emergency. Yes.
So Malcolm, if I'm going up the road, I'm going to work, and the police officer said, I must go to the truck or whatever, I may explain to him what I'm going about. And he must say, not give me no chat, you know why you don't find me, I have to go up in there. No, when him take me to the station, and him say, I'm going to detain me. You think, if I tell him, say, all right, let me call my family, I call my lawyer. It's going to be easy between them, unless somebody from my family, I won't know my family, so I man tell them, and then I'll get a lawyer to come check me.
No, man, you're entitled to your phone call. You're entitled to let your family know what has happened.
It's so nice that way, Mr. Malcolm.
No, we're not talking about sounding nice. We are telling you, no system is perfect. Nowhere in the world, not even in the great United States of America. And we're not making excuses for our shortcomings. What we are saying is that the breaches are not for want of established systems, processes, etc. If they're not working, then there are individuals, institutions, and organizations who are equipped and should be called upon to fix the problem. But those systems exist. As bad as we think things are in Jamaica, this is not a banana republic.
Okay, but what I think they should do, the guys them, I'm almost certain the police have information, because some guys who give the problem, the police have information on them. What they should do, have the name on the radio, on the TV, in the newspaper.
But they did that up to recently, and most of the men turned themselves in. But remember now, it's one thing to call in people and they turn up. The police have different reasons why they signal to some people, hey, come in. We need you to come in. That is one thing. It's another thing to be able to charge those individuals. You need evidence. So people mouth make for say anything, as my late mother would say. So people can say, you see him? If you ever know where him in, cause so and so, and me no say, fee daughter or fee son, and this did go on, and this, and his them do that, and him kill the brother from over, so, etc. That's fine and dandy in a manner of speaking. Forgive the use of the term. That's street talk. The police can't run on that. They can't go too far without the evidence. It's the evidence that makes the difference.
Yeah, but when I'm saying return in a cell, he must have some information about you. So when you come in, you have to be clear to me that, listen, I have nothing to do with what going on so. No, when they're going to release you, you get turn warning. If your name turn up again in those operations, you know what then. And I better see them start doing themselves.
Well, there is no doubt that such warnings have been issued, but the police still have to act. They're supposed to act within the law, not ultra vires, to borrow a term from the lawyers.
What's it then? When the police have a charge a man, they should make the do not charge him and put him before the court and you don't have any evidence. Because that, to me, that's a waste of time. That. Make sure when you have the evidence, when you go before the court, the judge gives you an option. If you say you're guilty, you get to take someone. If you really find you guilty, you get to the last set. And then we see a better system.
We hear you.
All right, bye.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you very much.
Take care. This is your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com, live on your smart devices all over the world, taking your calls on 876-922-4112-5. Can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Friday, the 14th of January, 2022, on this, what's the significance? We told you earlier on, didn't we? This is the 115th anniversary of the 1907 earthquake in Kingston. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns Monday afternoon, 2 to 5. Before that, though, if you are minded to get up out of your bed or to wake up at 6 and listen to us tomorrow morning on the Jamaican Diaspora live online from 6 to 9, we would welcome that. If not, we won't hold it against you. But all things being well, Both Sides of the Story returns Monday afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
Shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm? Dear Mr. Jesus, they say that you may die. Oh, will help the doctors stop the pain. I know that you could save her and take her up to the sky, so she will never have to hurt again. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm? Dear Mr. Jesus, please tell me what to do. And please don't tell my daddy that my mommy hits me too. Please don't let them hurt your children. We need love and shelter from the storm. Please don't let them hurt your children. Won't you keep us safe and warm?
listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible.
Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's news at 5.
Bye. Bye.